Y'all, I'm back. Lucky you. I, for a couple of reasons, have been mindful of something, a tool, a trick of the trade that I was taught, lucky enough to have been taught fairly early on. And since it's my job, I thought I'd share it with you. It's been on my mind, this particular function, this particular tool has been on my mind um, in light of, in response to this week's readings, especially Dion's, which progresses by way of a series of scenes, and also because I'm reading for review. I'm working this morning on a book review of a piece that doesn't really progress. I mean, it's interesting. It's a whole other subject. But in light of the comparison between what I'm reading for a professional purpose and the things that I'm reading for you all, um, this matter has been on my mind. And I'm going to refer to it as tracking. And the way it was described to me is that one ought to, in the process of revision, read through one's own work repeatedly, um, each time tracking the development of a single thing, right? Um, and one of the things that one tracks for over the course of a scene is simply, something, it could be just logistics, right? If the scene begins in the kitchen and ends in the living room, track the movement to make sure a reader is able to move along with the characters from kitchen to living room. It becomes more important in the matters of emotions or the matters of tensions, those things which have sort of are that you expect to want to have crafted your characters and the development of your scenes to ensure seize the imagination of the reader. So in the case of the emotional life of the character, over the course of a scene, if a scene begins with with defensiveness, a character feeling defensive, and ends with a character feeling desirous, you want to go really line by line and make sure that that there's a trackable progression, right, of the motion. That we begin in one place and it's clear and is palpable. It can be felt by a reader, and then in stages, um, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, section by section, moves from that defensiveness in through phases of, I don't know, the sort of collapse of defensiveness, the surrender of defensiveness, and into this other state. Um, and doing that, the least it does is help us not take for granted that an invested reader is going to just simply skate along for the ride, but the reader is going to be in a position to co-experience as you want the experience of your character. So hopefully that's helpful. Tracking, and you can track anything that has a dynamic to it. Um, Logistics. In my first example, the emotional life of a character across a scene, the passing of a day, anything. But it becomes most important when we're talking about something that can't be created by way of a reference to the angle of the sunlight, right? To the emotional lives of the characters, first and foremost. But make sure that a reader is able to follow, is able to track along along those dynamics with the character. Full stop.